My next speaker is Maulana M.Tasin Akhoon. He's going to talk to us about the 3 favorite things of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 3 favorite things of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya wal Mursaleen. Amma ba'd. Alhamdulillah, great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Al-Muneer Foundation was able to establish a new place, Masjid Darul Tazkiya, with Muhammadi school. And this was the vision of Hazrat, and it's always been there as I go with it. And it's so difficult for me to pay my credit cards, and he's establishing such places, right? And you could just imagine how much passion he has for the community, for the youth, for the people, that he's willing to spend his time, and he's willing to leave the comfort of his home and would sit with his, his murid, and would spend time with them. And that is you can't find anywhere else. But these people are like millions in one, the millions in one. So my topic is the 3 things that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved. So one time Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is sitting with the companion of Sahaba radiallahu an, and he begins with Abu Bakr radiallahu an. He said, "Oh Abu Bakr, ماذا تحب في الدنيا? What do you love from this dunya? What are the things that you love from this dunya?" And Abu Bakr radiallahu an, he said, "I love 3 things from this dunya." He said, "What are those?" He said, "جلوس بين يديك." I love sitting in your company. And he said, the second thing that I love, nadru ilayk, and I love looking at you. And then he said, the third one, and he said, infaqu mali ilayk, and I love spending my wealth upon you. And this encapsulates Siddiq, the level of Siddiq of Abu Bakr radiallahu an, in these three things that he loved. And then he asked Umar bin Khattab radiallahu an, what are the 3 things that you love from this dunya, from your dunya? And he said, I love commanding towards good, even if it has to be in secret. I love commanding towards good, even if it has to be quiet. And he said, I love preventing from evil, even if it has to be loud. Even if I have to amplify it, I have to announce it. I'm not scared, and I'm willing to forbid from evil, even if I have to do it loudly. And he said, I love speaking the truth. I love speaking the truth, even if it's bitter. Even if the person does not like it, and it's a difficult situation, he said, I love speaking the truth. And it comes down to, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anh, he said, what do you love from this dunya? And he began and he said, أطعم الطعام. And I said, I love feeding. And I said, I love feeding people. وأفشو السلام, and I love spreading salam. I love spreading salam. And then he said, I love praying in the night when people are asleep. When nasu niyam, he said, I love standing in the night in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and everyone is asleep. In the middle of the night, Uthman radiallahu anhu, he said, I love standing in the night and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what encapsulate these 3 things encapsulate of Uthman radiallahu anhu, that he would get up in the night, would stand in salah, that the time of Fajr would start. And he would finish and he would perform his Fajr, and then he would continue reading his Quran till the time of Dhuhr would start. One Sahabi asked, Uthman, he's Khalifa, and he's asking him, that don't you get tired? He said, how can you get tired when the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is open in front of you? And then it comes down to Ali radiallahu anhu. So, oh Ali, what do you love from this dunya? He said, I also love 3 things from this dunya. And he said, I love fasting. I love fasting when it's in extreme heat. I love fasting. When it's extremely hot, it's summer. He said, in summer I love fasting. And then he said, what? Ikram al-daif. And he said, I love hosting guests. I love hosting guests. If you imagine us, if a guest comes unattended, we say, what are you here for? We just kick them out. But he said, I love hosting guests. And any time of the day they come, he said, I love hosting them. And he said, I love sword fighting. I love sword fighting. I love getting into the battle, and I love fighting with sword. And then and it comes down to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked the Sahabi Abu Dharr Ghifari radiallahu anh, he's sitting, he said, "O Abu Dharr, what do you love from this dunya?" He said, "I also love three things from this dunya." And he said al-ju', hunger. He said, wal-marad, sickness, wal-maut, and death. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's surprised. He knows, but the people around also surprised. How can you love hunger? How can you love sickness? And how can you love death? These are three most, scary things for us. We hate getting sick. We hate getting, we hate being hungry. For this reason, we're working 24/7. How can I increase my net worth? And of course, nobody wants to die. And Rasulullah, why these three things? He said, al-ju', hunger, because it softens my heart. He said, when I'm hungry, it softens my heart towards the people who are masakin. And it softens my heart and allows me to perform ibadah towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, the second thing, what about sickness? Why do you love sickness? He said, when a mu'min gets sick, his sins are being blessed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving his sins. He's never at lost. Even if when he gets sick, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is removing sins from him. So at this moment, and he said, what about death? He said, liqa'i rabbi. And he said, death is the only gateway that will allow me to meet my Rabb, that I sacrificed all my life for. He said, death is the only gateway, barrier after this, is that I will meet my Rabb. So after it was done, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he said, also love three things from your dunya. He didn't say that other Sahaba, they were saying from dunya we love. Rasulullah min dunyakum. I love three things from your dunya, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not from this earth. He said, also love three things. He said, an-nisa wa-tib. He said, ju'ilat qurratu aini fi as-salah. He said, I love women, and I love perfume, and I love, and he said, coolness of my eyes is in salah. And it might be surprising for us, why these three things? He said, Rasulullah said, woman, and many interpretations given, they say that because the time that he came, people were abusing women, many cultures were abusing women, customs, religions. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam honored women. And woman was the first source for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to comfort him. First one to accept Islam was a woman, Aishatul Kubra. First one to spend on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a woman, Khadijatul Kubra radiyallahu anha. She was the first woman who accepted Islam. She was the first one who spent on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and exhausted all her wealth on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There was no hesitation in accepting Islam from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, accepting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a prophet. As he came, she accepted right away. And she was the first one. Woman was the first. Woman was personnel that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave salam upon. Was Khadija radiallahu anha. Right? We said it was Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, no, it was Khadija radiallahu anha. She was the first at everything. The first one to give salam from Jibreel alayhi salam. Jibreel alayhi salam came, he said that your Khadija al-Kubra is coming. When she comes, make sure, she has become weak. She exhausted all her wealth. She, as we know, she was one of the wealthiest women. She was her net worth was one of the top in Mecca. But she exhausted so much of her wealth that she became skinny. And she's coming and feeding Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Jibreel alayhi salam, he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send me down. And he said that when she comes, let her know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives salam to Khadija radiallahu anha. So for this reason, he mentioned woman. The first thing that Rasulullah loved is woman. And then he showed throughout his life that the care of a woman, and one of the hadiths of Rasulullah said that if you want khair of any of this world, the khair of this world, he said the woman, a pious woman, if a man gets a pious woman, then he has all the everything of this world. And then tib, perfume, itar, what it speaks of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it speaks of the purity of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It speaks of the cleanness, and many hadiths of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mention tur shatrul iman, cleansing, being pure, clean. Taharat is half of your iman, half of your faith. And it speaks of the clean nature of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the perfume is the existence and creation of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In many of the narrations I mentioned the rose, the flower rose, it came from the perspiration of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it was created from. And it speaks of the clean nature of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then the third thing that Rasulullah mentioned, the coolness of my eyes is salah. And as we know, how much difficult for us to pray salah. How much difficult, we just want to spend 2-3 minutes and get away with it. And it shows the nature of, it shows the connection that he has with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As we know, the month before was Rajab, and where Isra and Miraj took place, and the gift of salah was given. And Rasulullah is showing that this was the gift that I enjoy the most. This is the thing that I love the most. And for us it's so difficult to pray, but for Rasulullah difficult was made easy for him. And as he's narrating, Jibreel alayhi salam comes down. You know, he sees this beautiful gathering. Everyone is mentioning their, likeness. Once we sit down, we're speaking on business ideas, how much more money I could make, what kind of girl I could marry. The youngsters, that's what we're talking about. I got this girlfriend, or I got this friend, or I got this, and I'm looking into this stocks, I'm looking to this Bitcoin and this and that. That's what we talk about. And Jibreel alayhi salam saw this beautiful gathering of Sahaba, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is speaking on their love for the things that they love, right? But and Jibreel he said, I also love 3 things. He said, Tabligh al-Risala, bringing down the wahi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Anbiya alayhi wasallam. And he said, Ada'ul amana, and giving what is trusted to me, giving back the trust that is, which is the amana is given from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Jibreel, in the hands of Jibreel, and he descends down to the Anbiya alayhi wasallam and gives it to them. And he said, I love masakin, and I love masakin. And as we know, mentioned that Jibreel alayhi salam are into these valleys where there's no one, becomes assistant for these poor and these masakin, helps them out. And as this happening, Jibreel alayhi salam, he rises back up to the heavens. As he rises back to the heavens, he comes back down. Again, he descends back down to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentioned his 3 favorite things. He also mentioned 3 beloved things also. He said, Lisanul Dhakir. He said, he's a person whose tongue is moist with the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the most beloved thing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then mentioned qalban khashi. He said the heart that fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that has the reverence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said jasadan ala bala'i. He said a body which is afflicted with calamities. A body which is afflicted with calamities. It could be a disease, it could be any form of thing. And he said is afflicted, and he said sabr. But he does sabr upon it. He stays patient upon it. He does not complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why did you do this to me? Well, and he stays, but he continues doing the dhikr of Allah, and he stays in a form of sabr, in patience, and is afflicted with diseases, afflicted with problems, but he does not complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the 3 things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned: a tongue of a person who is a dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and and the heart that fears and revere Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has reverence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the last thing, a body of a person who is afflicted with calamities and disease, but he does sabr upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Hazrat did this speech long time ago, right? And from that time I used to think, I started thinking, what do I love from this dunya? right? But then he made a point. He said that we don't know how to love. We don't know how to like things, right? One day you like this, and the next day you're not going to like it, right? I love cars, and eventually you realize the gas prices are going up. I can't have expensive cars, right? We go back to our, So he said we don't know how to love and how to like, and this is what Tazkiya workshop is. What is actual love and what is actual like? What should you like? And that's what you learn from mashayikh, from your sheikh. That what is a priority? Just like Dr. Shahzad mentioned, there's things that you put as prioritized, most important things, and the things that are wasteful, and that's what you differentiate when you sit in these gatherings, and that is very important for a salik to decide what is most important thing for him. Is it money? Is it this dunya? Is it, and if you look at the list of these of the Sahaba, none of them has to do with they using this dunya to earn the akhirah, right? Abu Bakr, he said, I love spending wealth upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Who is he spending upon for the sake of deen, right? And he said, I love sitting with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, looking at, right? And same thing with Umar radiallahu anhu, Uthman radiallahu anhu, everything they're doing for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the taste, pure taste that these Sahaba and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.
Thank you very much. Jazakumullahu khair, Maulana M.Tasin, Akhoon. Very interesting topic. Favorite things of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his companions, Jibreel alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. MashaAllah, very interesting topic. Narai Takbir, Narai Risalat, Muhammad Rasulullah. Tajdar Khatm Nubuwat, Zindabad.